Oh my, you mean to tell me all that time there was no sound? I had no idea. I am so embarrassed. There was no sound. Okay. I am thank you so much. I had no idea. Okay. Now that we have sound, oh my goodness, I think I have 2. Okay, I gotta close one of these. I have 2 channels open right now. Okay, sorry about that. Again, we are here to talk about the Gilded Age. Um, yes, I wanna talk about the Gilded Age. Thank you so much, Cookies and Cream. You see, that's why we need moderators. You just saved me from a gross embarrassment. I didn't realize that I had no sound. But I want to talk about the Gilded Age. Again, I apologize if people do not have access to the HBO. That is unfortunate. I promise you, I'm just excited to talk about Gilded Age. So I don't want to rub it in if you don't have access to it, but if you do, that's what I want to talk about. Oh God, what is this going on here? Hmm. Okay, get rid of that. Get rid of that. And let me try this again. But the end of last week's was incredible, and this week did not disappoint. Although it's like an end of season cliffhanger. I promise you, it's like if you remember how Dynasty ended, this one ended very much like the last episode, the last regular episode of Dynasty. It ended with a gunshot. Yes, it ended in violence. So, okay, I'm gonna put this up there. Like, no, not that one. This one. Is that right? No, it isn't. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the one. That's the one. Oh, I appreciate that. You guys, I am looking for some new names here because I'm hoping that just some random people are going to stop by so we can talk about the Gilded Age. I literally just finished watching it, and I'm just hoping, desperately hoping that somebody watched it. Anybody? Let's see. Oh, you should be asleep? Well, I'm just going to talk about the Gilded Age. I certainly don't want to take you away from your sleep. Oh, I need to get something to drink. Hold on. Hold on. I'll be right back. Okay. Like I said, I don't want to take anybody away from their sleep. I just want to talk about the Gilded Age. It was so good. Okay. Hi Hazel Jones. Did you watch the Gilded Age? Please tell me you did. Somebody. There's only 12 people here. There's only 12 of us. But I am desperate. I am keen to talk about Gilded Age. Oh, you did watch. Lovely. Okay, okay, okay. So, tell you what I'm going to do. I am just going to put it on in the background so that I can so I can go over scene by scene. just to put everything in chronological order of appearance. Well, that's lovely. You have made me very, very happy. This is the Gilded Age. This is the Gilded Age. Okay. We may want to talk about the Gilded Age, but we talk about it anyway. Oh man, that was great. Okay. Excommunication. That was the name of the episode. It was called Excommunication. And let me see here. So it really starts off with extra, extra. They're on the street, somebody's selling papers. But, oh my goodness. Oh, you're waiting for it to come to Hulu. Oh, I pray it comes really soon. I just don't want to spoil it for anyone. But anyway, Mr. McAllister's book, Wade McAllister, who is from the South. Now, let me tell you guys this much. I have been, along with Gilded Age, the other obsession I have is Consuelo Vanderbilt. She has a book called The Glitter and the Gold. And Mrs. Vanderbilt, Consuelo, we're on a first name basis, you know. Consuelo Vanderbilt married into, was it the Marlborough family? Blenheim is where she ended up, right? And she was, friends with Winston Churchill. He was a little younger than her, I think. Or were they the same age? Anyway, they got on very well with each other. If you cannot watch Gilded Age, do find The Glitter and the Gold. Consuelo Vanderbilt. She wrote a book. She died in 1964. I think she was born in 1877 and she died in 1964. She wrote a book called The Glitter and the Gold. I am listening to the book, the audio version, right? That's what I'm listening to, is the audio version. Now, I think the book, you can find it on the Free Press, but the book is excellent, especially if you're into like period piece, Downton Abbey, this and that. That is a great place to start. I insist, if you cannot watch Gilded Age, do find that book, however you can find it, and then just listen to it, read it, however you want to consume it. Consuelo Vanderbilt was quite she's very strong. She was very strong. I mean, just the education that she had growing up, the education that she had prepared her for everything she experienced in life. So I'm glad that the character of Gladys Russell, the Gladys Russell character, I'm glad she's living up to, um, Consuelo Vanderbilt. She is really living up to that character. Um, oh, you just started watching season 1? Excellent. I feel like I want to go back and watch it. Oh, they have the package with Max. Oh, that's so cool. Peace and joy, or peace, joy. Thank you so much for being here. Let me see who else is here. And you know what? You know what I forgot to do? So yesterday, I had said that I wanted to share a little bit of Consuelo Vanderbilt with you all, right? It was the thing about the dinner party where she says, "Are you quite well?" Right? When Sarah, who of course is Hector's sister, when she stands up at the dining table and she's ready to walk out, right? So let me set the scene for you. Of course, that is copyright, and I cannot. Let me see. Gladys Russell, are you quite well? All right. That is the scene that everybody was talking about. And that had to do with something that kind of changed the power dynamic with her sister in law, because her sister in law was so used to running the household in the absence of a reigning Duchess of Marlborough. I hope I get that title right. Um, is that right? Marlborough? Yeah, anyway, she was so used to running the household. So, as you know, in the Gilded Age, it's the lady of the house that decides when dinner is over and she's going to lead the ladies to the drawing room, which is why they call it the drawing room. It is a room that you withdraw to. So they shortened it to drawing room. So she's ready to lead the ladies out to the drawing room. Sarah, that's not her place. Sarah is not the Duchess, and she is not the head of the household. Or should I say, she is not married to the head of the household. Obviously, that's her brother. And so she looks up at her, and well, anyway, let me let me play the audio for you. Oh no, I don't have the audio of that. That's not the one. Oh, forgive me, forgive me. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I am getting myself confused here. It was not that. I yeah, that one I cannot share that one with you because it is copyright. What I will share with you is that Consuelo Vanderbilt was a little shocked at how the aristocratic women in the UK, how limited their educations were. She was shocked by their lack of education. Now, Consuelo Vanderbilt could speak French fluently. Her parents spoke to her in French. Her American parents spoke to her in French. And then she had a German governess, right? Who, of course, taught her German. So the real life Consuelo Vanderbilt could speak German. She could speak French and, of course, English. She could read and write in German, French, and English. And also, just about any topic you could imagine. She was great with literature. She had been to Egypt before she married into the aristocracy. She had already been to Egypt. She and her family had taken frequent trips to Europe. Consuelo's Vanderbilt's father had a massive yacht that he traveled the world. The family, it was like having your own private plane. They did a lot of traveling. Yes, the Duke's sister is Sarah. Uh, okay. Okay. So, anyway, what I wanted to share with you guys was her way of describing, this is the real life Consuelo Vanderbilt, her way of describing how shocked that she was that she was the best educated person in the room. Kind of reminds me of Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. She was literally the best educated woman in the room, and she knew it. And also, just like Meghan, she was often surprised at some of the rules, some of the, how do you say, the customs of the aristocracy. As an American woman, that kind of took her by surprise. Did not um, she did not agree with a lot of it. Okay, so again, let me set this up for you. Consuelo Vanderbilt spoke about how disappointed and how surprised she was at how lacking in education the aristocracy was. Okay, I'm going to play this for you. Uh-oh, where is it at? Did that play? Oh, did I record that or no? Oh my goodness, I don't think it let me record. How embarrassing. Um, Let me try it another way. Okay, let me try it another way. I saved it, I bookmarked it, and hopefully, okay, they probably have something on there where you cannot record it. I should have known. That makes sense. But I just wanted to sample the darn thing. That's all. I don't want to record the whole thing. I just want to sample it. So let me see if I can make that work. Because I did bookmark it, but I've never actually gone back to look for a bookmark. Let me see. That's no, I don't want to save a clip. I want to see something that I saved already. Um, okay, how do I go back and find my okay, clips and notes, chapter 7. Okay, here goes.
Realizing that with her literary and artistic tastes, she would find an ideal companion in such a cultured and charming man. He is indeed in every sense an example of the perfect diplomat, who with flair and tact knows how to skirt and exemplify the qualities she admired, which the prerogatives of a privileged life had but enhanced. And in conversations with her hostess, who was Marlborough's aunt, the possibility of my marriage to him may have been discussed. It is certain that it was then her ambitions took definite shape, for she confessed to me years later that she decided to marry me either to Marlborough or to Lord Lansdowne's heir. While we were in Calcutta, I went to spend a day with Lady Lansdowne's younger daughter at a place the Viceroy had on the river.
Oh, you know what? That is not the entire thing. Oh my goodness. You guys, I am so embarrassed. That I did save the clip, but I just didn't save the entire thing. That's what the problem is. I saved the clip, but I did not save the entire thing. So let me go and see if I can go back to chapter 3 and find it.
Who was present, told his mother the following day, I met at the ball last night the girl I would.
Okay, forget about it. But I will try to sort that out another time and I will share that with you because it was just interesting when they compared the books that they were reading, the literature and everything. She was just surprised that and if you think about Queen Elizabeth, right? If you think about Queen Elizabeth, how in the Crown, how she mentioned, mother, how come I didn't go further in my education? And her mother said, what do you mean? You learned everything you needed to know. In other words, Queen Elizabeth, like so many aristocratic women, were only taught to about ponies. They were able to speak about ponies, dogs, and the weather. Ponies, dogs, and the weather. That was the extent of their education. Also, to be fair, a lot of aristocratic women learned at least a second language, right? Usually French, but a lot of them learned a second language. But let me tell you, Consuelo Vanderbilt had it, she had a huge advantage to the women that of the family that she married into. She had a huge advantage because of her educational background. Not to mention, Alva put her through like a rigorous training for anything and everything. So, but yeah, I'm so sorry I could not find that. I wanted to share it with you, but I bookmarked the wrong part of it. and that is too bad. Um, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to use these. George Russell. George was very, very angry at his wife, Bertha. He was angry at Bertha because he feels like Bertha has been meddling in everybody's business. Her son even said that she treated the family like pawns on a chessboard. And of course, Bertha was really hurt about that. But let's do it scene by scene. So, scene by scene, they open up and everybody is looking at the book. And the name of the book, let me see, Society as I Have Found It. Society as I Have Found It by Ward McAllister, who is played by, oh my God, what's that guy's name from The Birdcage? Anyway, Society as I Have Found It. The book was like a parody that also examined the rich and the famous. And so as it opens up, Ward McAllister is walking through the park and people are giving him the look. They're giving him the eye. But then once everybody gives him the side eye, it really jumps to a scene in the parlor of is it Agnes Van Ryan? Right? Agnes? Yeah, it goes to Agnes Van Ryan's parlor. And you have Mrs. Astor, you have Mrs. Russell, and is the heavy set lady, is her name Mrs. Fish? Fish? I couldn't understand what they were calling her. I am so sorry if I got that wrong, but I could not understand what they were calling her. Um, but yeah, and what was she most outraged about? She was outraged because people were saying that her husband was very frugal, very cheap, and that he always picked the worst wine because he was trying to save some. Nathan Lane, thank you so much. McAllister was played by Nathan Lane. Let me see. Do I have a photo of him for reference here? Where is McAllister? I don't think I have an image of him. Yeah, I only just got a handful of images to share, which reminds me, Nathan Lane was not at the party. This is an image of the cast from the premiere party. The premiere party was 2 months ago because they were unable to have a premiere per global pandemic. So they never did have a premiere. And Ward McAllister, well, Nathan Lane, he is not in this photo. Yeah, he's not in the photo at all. Oh man, where is he at? He's not there. I I just realized that I did not see him at the premiere party. Oh well. So they decide that they're going to stick together. Mrs. Russell, Mrs. Aurora Fane, of course, Aurora Fane, and was she there? No, Aurora was not there. Yeah, I forgot. They can't be seen with Aurora because her husband divorced her. Isn't that something? And Aurora saved their family from ruin when Mr. Russell was going to leave them destitute. And all Mr. Russell asked for was for her to introduce her wife to introduce his wife, Bertha, to society. That was all he asked for. But in exchange for saving them from ruin. But oh well, that's what they get for being nice, right? Um, okay. Anyway, so they decide they're going to stick together, and they were going to put on a what do you call it? a unified front against this book, and that everybody should be business as usual. But Ward McAllister is excommunicated. Excommunicated. He's out of there. And then, of course, it goes from there to the Van Ryan kitchen, where there's someone. I mean, the whole thing opens with everybody reading the book and being amused by it. So Mrs. Armstrong he's like, "What are you reading there, Mrs. Armstrong?" And of course, she's reading the book about society as like, what was it called? Society as I found it. So the Van Ryan cook and the Van Ryan butler, what's his name? Bannister. And of course, yeah, Bannister is Van Ryan's butler. Church is the Russell's butler. And then from there, it goes to Bertha and George. George, she's telling George that I am hosting that. Well, yeah, that I'm going to host the ball, or no, or something like that, about them going to the ball. And he's like, "Do you see what I'm doing? I'm trying to save this family." Well, Bertha did not know that they were drifting toward financial ruin because she and George are not talking. Mr. McAllister is a weasel. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And again, he is based on a real character. Ward McAllister is from the South. He is from the South. And I actually read his bio a couple of days ago. And apparently, this man actually inherited $1,000, which was, a nice sum of money back then. And he decided that he wanted to be a part of society so desperately that he actually used all of that money to go to the best costume designer he could find to design a costume to go to a party. That was, that was where his let me see here. Nathan Lane. I'm going to do a side by side photo if I can find it so you guys can see who. Oh, there we go. That is perfect. I will put that up there so you guys can see who we're talking about here. Mr. McAllister. There you go. So the mustache, the little goatee and everything, they did a great job. Nathan Lane has more hair than Mr. McAllister, obviously, but that is Ward McAllister there on the left side, obviously, and Nathan Lane on the right side, who speaks with a very heavy Southern accent. This guy literally weaseled his way into society, when the truth is he lived in a very modest house. He was hanging around with the best possible people in society, and yet he lived quite modestly. Okay, so Ward McAllister, arbiter of society, of social taste, that is, in the Gilded Age of America, widely accepted as the authority to which families could be classified as the cream of New York society. His listings were questioned by those excluded from society, but yeah, he was pretty much the one who determined who was, in and who was out. Let me see. Okay, Mr. McAllister wrote that after his marriage in 1853, He bought a farm in Narragansett Bay, planted a tree, and left for a 3-year journey throughout Europe. So yeah, he went to Europe, and basically he was like P.T. Barnum, but a very poor P.T. Barnum. Oh, he went to the spa in Bath, England. Uh-huh. He observed the mannerisms of other wealthy Americans and titled nobility, returning to New York with his wife and two small children back in 1858. Using his wife's wealth and his own social connections, he sought to become a tastemaker amongst New York's Knickerbockeries. Knickerbocracy. Yeah. So, okay. If you don't know what a Knickerbocker is, like the basketball team, the New York Knicks, Knickerbocker is a New Yorker of Dutch descent. So when you hear the term Knickerbocker, that is what it refers to. But having looked at the New York Knicks, I tell you, I don't see anybody on that team that look like they're of Dutch descent. But I digress. That's what a Knickerbocker is. It is a New Yorker of Dutch descent. As you know, New York originally was settled and called New Amsterdam. Of course, the natives, they called it Manhattan, which I think meant something about land of many hills or something like that. That is what the natives called it. So there was already Native Americans living there, but the Dutch came and settled, and they referred to it as New Amsterdam. But when the English settled and pretty much leveraged the power away from the Dutch, they decided to name it after the city of York, which is why they call it New York. And the southern part of Manhattan is, where they would trade with the Native Americans and such. And anyway, that is where the roots of the state of New York or the city of New York come from, is that lower tip of Manhattan. Anyway, so the Dutch were the first ones to start a city of New Amsterdam, and they're the ones who owned most of the real estate and so on and so forth. And so that's why so many of the families trace their roots back to the Netherlands, right? And so if you were one of those families, if you were in a family descended from the early Dutch settlers, that is why those names were so prominent. And of course, I don't know if there was actually a Van Ryan family, but you may recall some time ago that um, Agnes referred to the Livingston family, to which she was actually a Livingston, and she married into the Van Ryan family. So that's either way. She went from one good family with a good family name and lineage to another. And their money basically came from real estate. And that was what a lot of people, especially the early Dutch settlers, they had other businesses, but real estate was, like the bedrock of everything was real estate. And because of the importance of New York at that time, and at one time, they thought that the nation's capital should be New York City for a temporary period of time. Um, oh, wait, was it Philadelphia or New York? I can't recall which one, but some people thought that New York should be the capital. It's always been the financial capital of the United States, but as far as a national political capital, eventually, of course, they settled on Washington D.C. Um, but yeah, I do think George Washington actually governed the nation from New York. Okay. I'm not looking this stuff up. I'm just trying to remember as best I can. But feel free to correct me. Okay, so it was Philadelphia was the first capital. Thank you. All right. So there you go. That is why the Knickerbockers are such a big presence. There was even a Knickerbocker Hotel. That's how I learned about the phrase because I was like, why do they call this hotel the Knickerbocker? But yeah, that's where it comes from. So old Dutch money and lots of nouveau riche, that new money, the new money people, and the old money versus the new money. It's just like when people say they could trace their family back to the Mayflower. Okay, that is like as close as we can get the Mayflower to some type of American aristocracy, or in the case of New York City, the Knickerbockers. That was also like an aristocracy, just because their families and their wealth went back a long way. That's just why they were so prominent. Other than that, they did not have any more rights than the next person, except the usual rights that comes with being rich, and especially if you're a rich white man, then of course, just as it is today, you are still in a very powerful position in this country. So, Ward McAllister, he could actually see through their frailties. He could see through their airs and graces, and he realized that they were easily manipulated. They were easily impressed with him. Um, okay. Okay, he was an early summer colonist to Newport, Rhode Island, and was largely responsible for turning the town into a mecca for the pleasure seeking, status conscious rich of the Gilded Age. His gift for party and picnic planning soon made him a society darling. Wow. I guess if he was alive today, he would be like a big wedding planner or something, or social planner. Okay, exclude from charmed circles of and the 400. Okay, the 400. He was the one who coined that phrase. The 400 were the many nouveau riche Midwesterners who poured into New York seeking social recognition. Okay. He wrote a column about the 1893 World's Fair, the Columbian Exposition in Chicago, in which he urged that Chicago society hostesses wanted to be taken seriously. They should hire French chefs and not frappe their wine too much. Oh, okay. I never heard that before. The Chicago Journal replied, the mayor will not frappe his wine too much. He will frappe it just enough so that the guests can blow the foam off the tops of the glasses without a vulgar exhibition of lung and lip power. His ham sandwich sinkers and his pig feet will be a triumph of the gastronomic arts. Okay, somebody has a sense of humor. But of course, McAllister's downfall came when he published a book of memoirs entitled Society as I Found It in 1890. The book and his hunger for media attention did little to endear him to the old guard, who valued their privacy in an era when millionaires were the equivalent of modern movie stars. So, um, and the interesting thing is Consuelo Vanderbilt mentioned that in her memoir. She mentioned that one of the reasons when she became a duchess, one of the reasons why people invited her to give away prizes, to open up, let's say, a bank or whatever, it was because of the way she dressed and the way she spoke and all that kind of stuff. It had nothing to do with who she was. It didn't even have anything to do with what she had to say. It was her title. It was her title. It was her title as a duchess, and it was also her clothes. And it just seemed to make everything seem more important. You'd get more people to show up if they knew that the Duchess was going to be there. So, um, yeah, she was in high demand, but I'm still like going through her book. So I intend to be quite expert on Consuelo Vanderbilt, who was the inspiration for Gladys Russell. Okay, so that's Ward McAllister, and everybody's talking about the book. Now, the very next big scene, and that, of course, was Russell, and I'm sorry, not Russell. Um, why did I call that man Russell? Gladys and Hector. That was the next big scene. Gladys and Hector walking through the garden of their Sidmouth home. They actually are quite close to each other. I do think that Hector has fallen in love with Gladys. Yeah, it seems as though Hector has fallen in love with Gladys, and um by the I'm just going to go ahead and jump forward with that one. By the end of the episode, Hector told them that they were going to the told his sister Sarah that they're going to the United States, and if she would, if she was going to go to London. And of course, Sarah was like, "Are you, are you telling me that I should go to the house in London?" No, he didn't mean for her to go to the house in London. What he was telling her was she needs to find a place of her own because he and Gladys are making a home for themselves, and it does not include his overbearing, intrusive, rude sister. So, it just as Bertha had predicted, that if he included Gladys in the running of the house, the running of the estate, then they would be much closer. He said she's very smart and you will value having her presence. And that is exactly what happened. So that's Gladys on the right, and that is her mother, Bertha Russell, who, of course, is, you know, was inspired by Alba. Um, I was about to call her Roosevelt, um, not Rockefeller. These names are running through my head. I'm so sorry. The what the heck are they? Vanderbilt. Yeah, Vanderbilt. Connie Bomber. Connie Bomber. Let's see here. Sarah wanted him to send Gladys back. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me continue here. And that was the scene with them walking in the garden. In that scene, he was a little distant from her, and he told her that he had got a cable from her father saying that his payment would be delayed. Now, the dowry that um, that Marlborough received was not all at one time. To ensure his daughter's happiness, George Russell made sure that there would be a hefty down payment and that there would be an annual or monthly or whatever stipend that, and also I believe there was some stock in the railroad, but he wanted him to know that, if you want to marry my daughter, you will take this incremental payment as I see fit. Well, on a schedule. And that was quite smart to do. That was quite smart to do because that way you you wouldn't have to worry about Gladys as much. Now all Gladys got to do is crank out those airs, and they'll be fine. So there you go. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna find as I told you guys, I am doing the book on tape, or the audio book of Consuelo Vanderbilt, The Glitter and the Gold. So let me find that, and I will send you a link for it in case you want to check that out, so you can compare the real life heroine to our story to the fictitious Gladys Russell. So Consuelo. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna well, I tell you what, I'll do the link. I'll do the link for oh, this is both of them. Okay, good. And I'll put that link in the comment section up there at the top of the chat so that you can find it. But just so you know, the real life Consuelo Vanderbilt. Oh my goodness, I don't like that. Let me see here. Okay, share your referral link. Oh, you know what? I've never used that before. Okay, I'm not going to use it now because I'm not sure what that does. I'm not sure what it does. Okay, where is the darn thing to share it? Okay, give me just a second, you guys. Oh, there it is. There it is. So copy link. I'm going to put the link here. And the name of the book is The Glitter and the Gold, An American Duchess. That is the real life accounts of Consuelo Vanderbilt in her own voice. Okay, there it is. And then, of course, as promised, I'm going to link that to the top of the chat. There it is. I pinned it to the top of the chat. Also, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Do we have any new people to this channel? Is there anyone that's new to Royal Sussex? Please give me a thumbs up on the screen there, or wave your hand. Put that in the chat. Let me know if you're new. Usually we talk about Harry and Meghan news. This is a pro Harry and Meghan channel. So if you got it in for our faves, promise you that things are not going to go well for you tonight or this morning. But what's that? Good morning, everyone at work listening second time today. Oh, God bless you. I appreciate that. Oh, you started work very early today. All right. And happy birthday again, Connie Bomber. Oh, Connie Bomber, you were not on earlier, right? Let me see here. Sarah wanted him to send Gladys back when it appeared the money wasn't flowing. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Sarah was like, "Well, can you send her back?" What a rat she is. What a rat. An absolute rat. Let me see. The Gilded Age. And you know what? I was wrong. This was episode 7, right? Why did I think it was episode 8? This last episode was episode 7. I thought, oh my goodness, we only got one to go after this, but I was so wrong. And I tell you what, Consuelo Vanderbilt, real life, she was gorgeous, which is interesting because she did not like her nose. She did not like her nose. And I'm speaking of the real life character. Okay. Well, we just did a review. Yeah, we just did a review. So, okay. So, thank you again, Teddy Bungo, for reminding us exactly why they were taking that walk in the park, meaning their country estate. Um, and it was because Hector was telling her that your father's having some financial problems, that the money would be running late or something like that. And he assured her that it's not about the money. Oh my God. I was so glad he said that. Hector has fallen in love with Gladys, and I'm telling you, I am here for it. Gladys is amazing. It's interesting too because I looked at Gladys as a very spunky but yet somewhat mousy character because of the way her mother was bossing her around. But that only made her that much stronger. And I'm sure that that is going to play out even further as we get into it. Oh, and just a reminder, you guys, Gilded Age has received the green light for a season 4. So um, do not despair. We are not at the end of the road after this season. There will be a season 4. Simon Black, or is it Simone Black? Thank you so much for being here. Good morning, everyone at work listening. Second time today. Very cool. I don't know how you could take it the first time, let alone the second time, but if I had to listen to myself all day, I would probably get a good running start and bang my head into the wall. But you guys are so strong. You guys are so strong to deal with me not once but twice in the same day. I think I'd lose my mind. I would. I'd lose my mind. I'd be like, "Oh, doesn't he ever shut up?" Oh my goodness. Isn't Felicia Rashad a cast member? I have this series next up on my radar. I'm watching the Righteous Gemstones, and it is hilarious. Oh my God, Felicia Rashad. She was an absolute menace this particular episode. Yes, she's one of the characters. Okay, so the very next scene, the housemaid, the French chef, and Mr. Church, the butler, Mr. Church, the three of them are conspiring because Andre, who is the lady's maid to Mrs. Russell, is the one that has been leaking, just like in real life, briefing and leaking to the press about everything that's going on in the Russell household. Yeah, the lady's maid, her name is Andre, and she's a real French maid. Now, she helped Mrs. Russell out a lot when they went over to England to get, to get things straight with Gladys. But the thing is, people were suspecting that she's been the one briefing people, and that's not cool. She's been the one talking to the newspapers and sharing information about what's happening in that household. Well, she was getting $40 every time her information went into print. And they had a hunch about her. So the three heads of their, the head of the household, the butler, the maid of the household, and of course the chef who was in charge of their food, they were, not exactly equals in the household because, of course, the butler is the last word aside from the family. But they all had their positions, so they were the most loyal people in terms of staff. And the butler, hatched a plan where he would leak some fake information saying that the Russells were going to move to another location and that they were the only ones to know. The lady's maid, the housemaid, the head of the housemaids, and well, okay, she would be the housekeeper. That would be her title. And of course, the chef and the one who came up with the idea, the butler. And of course, they said, this stays between us. And what do you know? The lady's maid, Andre, decided to sing like Aretha Franklin, honey. She just went, uh, this is this and this is that. She met with some man in the park. And poor Bertha Russell was already in trouble with her family. George wasn't talking to her, he was staying at the club. And I'll get to her son, Larry, in a minute. But it did not go well. It did not go well. Oh, Connie Bomber, thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. Okay. And remember, at the top of the chat, that is the actual words of Consuelo Vanderbilt, who was the inspiration for Gladys Russell. I have been listening to it, the audio version, and I love it. I really do love it. It is really a window into that world of the uber rich. It is a window into that world. So I highly recommend that you check it out, especially if you have Audible. It's absolutely free. Well, it's included with your subscription. Oh, yes, yes. Andre said, I'll pack my bags. Now, by the way, you guys, Andre is a lady. She's a lady's maid. She is a lady, but her name is Andre. And I guess Andre must be her last name, right? Well, anyway, Andre, the butler had told her, he said, no, she told him, she said, I'll pack my bags. He said, they're already packed. You just need to go. Leave the house at once. Okay. So where are we at here? We've settled that. Oh, Oscar. Oh my God, Oscar. That was the very next scene was Oscar. Now, last week, Oscar and his companion, let me show you who they are because I have it here somewhere. Okay, I went back too far. That is Oscar, Oscar Van Ryan on the right. And on the left, that is John Adams, not President John Adams, not President John Quincy Adams, but I guess it was kind of a common name. Just in case you guys don't know it, here in the United States, back in the old days, to have the name George Washington as a first and middle name was quite popular. Having the name John Adams, well, that wasn't so popular as George Washington. And not just amongst Black people. I know you've heard of George Washington Carver, but amongst just about anyone back in those days, they might name a child or a son George Washington so and so. So I'm going to assume that John Adams, and Adams was obviously his last name, I do believe, but the way people kept saying John Adams, I think it was more of a reference to the president, right? To that, I guess. Anyway, um, but you know what? I'm not clear. Was Adams his middle name or last name? Anyway, never mind all that. But so John Adams actually saved Oscar from ruin. Oscar had got involved with Mrs. Beaton, and Maud Beaton was a con artist. And so in the episode before this, Maud Beaton was at a place of irreprute, irreprute. Not exactly a hoe house, but it was a place for fun and games. So if you wanted a lady, they had that. And as we found out from Larry, if you wanted a man, if you wanted a guy, they got those too. Whatever you fancy, they have it. If you want something chemical, they had that. If you wanted liquor, if you wanted to gamble, um, all of that kind of stuff. It was a one-stop shop for all the vices you could possibly have. So, um, Larry Russell took, um, oh gosh, his what was the footman's name? Jack or John, depending whether he was upstairs or downstairs. He took them to that house. So the lady that ruined Oscar by ripping him off, by conning him out of his family's fortune, she was there. And when Oscar found out about it, he went to go and confront her. And instead of hitting her with the candlestick that he picked up, he decided to have her meet him at the train station. And he gave her $100, which was a lot of money back then, and a one-way ticket back to Ohio. Never come back to New York again. Go to Ohio, go and be with your family, and this is a chance for you to start over. I mean, that would be enough money for her to find a place to live and to find legitimate work. So he told that to his companion. I don't know if they were still lovers or former lover, but he and John Adams had been very close. John Adams found work for him. He was able to get him back into the stock market, and gave him some tips on things to trade and so on and so forth, make money for your clients, build up your income. So they had to be very discreet. I mean, after all, this is the 1890s, the 1880s, 1890s. They had to be very discreet. So shocker of all, and you guys, I'm so sorry. This is going to be a massive, massive spoiler. Not that you won't enjoy watching it anyway, especially if you love period pieces, but turn it off right now if you don't want to hear what happens next. Go ahead, leave this chat. It's not about the money. Leave this chat. But if you stay, you should know that the minute they stepped apart, by the way, John Adams was of the opinion that Maud, what was her name? Beecham, whatever, that she might on somebody else again. He said, but you did a good thing. You're a nice person. And with his eyes, he said, this is why I love you so much. And so they went outside, and he told him, he said, I'll have a new client for you or something like that. I'm very proud of you, in so many words. And then they were supposed to part ways. Now, as you can look at Oscar's eyes, you can tell Oscar really wanted to embrace him. But again, they had to be very discreet. I believe they just left a gentleman's club, not the dirty kind, but one of those places like where the rich guys go, to work out. Some of those places even had swimming pools. They were men's only establishments. No women were allowed. You could have lunch there. And also for businessmen like this, any businessman, gay or straight, the club, as they would refer to it, was also a hotel. Now, it was for members only. Usually it was for very rich, educated people. And the club had accommodations. If you did not want to go home and you were going to stay in the city, if you want to stay in the financial district or whatever, you could always go to the club. Let's say there's illness going around your house, or maybe you are not feeling well, you don't want to take it home to the family, you stay at the club, right? You have your locker there and stuff like that, so they can put you up for the night. Um, so that was it. That's what that place was. Very posh, very elegant, cigars, pool table, all that kind of stuff. It was where men could have men's talk, have man talk and such. And so even there, they had to be discreet because they were amongst the very wealthiest of people. Um, well, anyway, he turns to walk away. And when he turns, out of nowhere comes a horse, a runaway horse. I think it was a carriage attached to it, right? Yeah, it was a horse and carriage. And he was knocked to the pavement, died instantly. And that shocked everybody. Everyone who watched Gilded Age last week almost fell out of their chair because it had that ominous mood, like you knew something was going to happen. Oh, by the way, I did not. I'm so excited. I'm leaving some stuff out. Oscar did bid her farewell. Oh yeah, I did cover that. Yeah, he did bid Maud farewell. And anyway, he told his companion about it. He was very proud of him. He referred to John Adams as his savior. That's exactly his words. You're my savior. And you know, and now things are looking up for him, only for John Adams to get killed by a runaway horse and carriage. Now, you guys, the entire series, the entire series, I was expecting somebody to get run over by a carriage. I'm not making that up. I'm not trying to be like a smarty pants or anything. I was expecting it. When Miss Brooke went crossing the street, I thought for certain when she was crying that she was going to get hit by a carriage. I have been waiting for it because back in those days, it was not an unusual way to die, is to get hit by a carriage. I didn't know when it was going to happen. I didn't know who it was going to happen to. But with all the traffic that was on that little street, people going to the park and everything, it was just a matter of time before someone got hit by a carriage. I had no idea that it would be John Adams, but I knew it was going to happen eventually. That was just the way things were back then. Um, I mean, yeah, you got streets teeming with horses and carriages. The automobile was not there yet, so it was just horses, and horses get spooked. Horses run. Horses, they're horses. Very, very temperamental animals, and so I just thought at some point somebody's going to get hurt. And when Miss Brooke was crossing the street, I was like, oh God, please don't let her get hit by a carriage. Well, she didn't. It was John Adams. So anyway, John Adams died. And so Oscar, the scene that came up this episode, his first appearance, was Oscar leaving the house. He walks past Aunt Agnes, and what's the other one's name? Aunt Edna? No, not Edna. It's Agnes Van Ryan and Mrs. Forte. What is her name? I forgot what they call her. Anyway, and they were just trying to, comfort him about losing his friend, and he just did not want to talk. He just wanted to go out and go about his business. Well, it turns out he was going to meet with John Adams' sister. And that turned out to be quite a meeting. And of course, this was the scene where Agnes says, oh, don't worry, he'll be okay. Men don't feel things just the way we do. Not realizing that her son is gay. She had no idea that her son was gay. But it seems like after that, she kind of realized that something was very different. Not the reactions that she was expecting, but I'll get to that in a minute. So he goes to visit with John Adams' sister. Turns out the sister knew everything. She knew the tea. And he's still trying to maintain this real man veneer. But she said, we knew each other's secrets. He talked about you and, um, don't worry about it. She said he had a home or a cottage or something, and he wanted you to have it. And she said, there's enough money to maintain it for 5 years. Here's the deed to the property. Also, she gave him a picture of Oscar and John Adams. She gave Oscar a picture of both of them. Sadly, they were not in the photo together. They could not be in the photo together because people would talk. However, she had a letter for him, and she had the two photos, and she had a deed to the property. He did not want to take it. She insists. She said it is the way he would want it. He could not put it in writing, of course, but she said, I know what his intentions were, and he intended that if something were to happen, you were to have the property. So, of course, this is going to make Oscar and John Adams' sister very close. I don't know how close they were before, but this is someone that he can confide in. She said to him, your secret is safe with me. It was safe with John, and you can rest assured that your secret is safe with me. So that was a bittersweet moment. Ada, thank you. Ada Forte. Jessica Foreman says her name is Aunt Ada. Thank you very much. Oh, and good morning to you. Thank you, Connie Balmer. Okay, so yes, both are dressed in black, both are sitting at the table, and then there's this extraordinary exchange between the two of them, and Oscar pretty much heads back home. Nothing to do at that point. The home is in upstate that has been given to him. So now he's a homeowner. He's a property owner. He has a place in upstate New York. He wanted you to have it. It's yours. He's shocked too, by the way. He is shocked. But what a relief, He has been plagued by this secret all this time and just didn't have anyone to share it with. And so the very next scene, we cut back to England, and there is our sweet little loving 19-year-old Gladys, 18-year-old Gladys. And once again, her husband, Hector, reassures her that whatever happens, it's okay. Whether there's money or no money, I told you, don't worry about it. So that was reassuring. However, at this very same moment, Gladys' sister, not Gladys' sister, but Hector's sister, has instructed her maid which outfits that she ought to wear. So in some ways, Gladys, yes, Jessica Foreman, I'm so sorry. If this is a spoiler for you, please turn it off. Please turn it off. But this is really for people who have watched. But yes, if it is a spoiler, please turn it off. Oh, Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope you will watch it. So where are we? Okay. Gladys actually needs the sister-in-law, not completely, but just for now, because she still needs to learn the way of the family. And if Sarah is not there, then she will be somewhat dependent upon Hector. Okay? Now, let me tell you, I'm also going to tell you how this compares to the real life Consuelo Vanderbilt. Consuelo and Hector were the only ones in the house. They did not have anyone else staying there. They had frequent dinner parties and everything in the beginning, but aside from the staff, I believe at Blenheim, it was just the two of them. The character Sarah is based on Consuelo's husband's aunt, not a sister, but an aunt. But there was a Sarah, but she was an aunt, and she was overbearing, and she was trying to run roughshod over everything. Um, but yeah, again, that did not work out for her. But Gladys had to remind her, this is where the money comes from. The money is from us. She didn't say it like that, but everybody knows what that means. Also, she is lawfully married to her husband. So that was the real life Consuelo. Back to Gladys, same thing. Gladys is the lady of the house. She is the Duchess. That is the highest ranking title that any woman of nobility could have, unless she's a royal. Obviously, she's not a member of the royal family, but she is a duchess. And back in those days, being a duchess was quite important. It was a big deal, huge. It was like being a movie star. People looked up to you, people shown deference to you constantly. So it was, as her mother Bertha said, this will make you the envy of almost every woman in the world, and it did. So Hector tells Gladys, I know my sister can be a bit much, and I forgot what he said he was going to do, if anything, but that was a little surprise that he had for later on. Now, finally, Oscar comes home. Ada, Agnes, and Miss Brooke, Marion Brooks, they're all sitting in the parlor, and he comes in. He has this kind of dazed and shocked look, yet he's a bit moody, and they keep asking him how he's feeling, where have you been, and all that kind of stuff. And he told them about the house. And all of a sudden, well, don't you think that's odd? Why would he do that? And he's like, I don't know why, you know? And his mother kept poking and prodding, and Aunt Ada was being a bit nosy too. And he's like, Mother, no, he said, Mama, do you really want me to tell you? Do you really want to know why he gave me the house? Because I don't think you do. Oh my God. She's like, I don't understand. And he said he left me a cottage. That's what he said. He said he left me a cottage. And then someone said, but she has no, oh, he said, but she has no use for it, so she's given it to me. Now, that is extraordinary. That is strange. And I wouldn't blame them. And then Ada goes, but isn't that rather odd? Oh boy. And they were just pushing too hard. And where is the cottage? Livingston Manor, with a view of Hunter Lake. Well, Livingston Manor, remember, his mother is a Livingston who married into the Van Ryan family. So for his mother, this is like extra good news because, well, her son owns property on their ancestral land. land that was settled by the Livingstons. So she said, settled by my mother's family in the 1750s. That's what she told him. And she said, is that why she gave it to you? And boy, after that, he was like, oh, I think so. And then she said, well, tell me why she would do such a thing. And they just kept pushing too hard. Why would she do such a thing? You're not family. Now, that was very painful for him to hear. He said, well, I suppose she knew John and I were friends. Now, this man is trying not to tell them the tea. And so I think at that point, Marion started to put two and two together. She said, but I agree, it seems odd that he had gave more. No, he said to me, but I agree, it seems odd that he gave more to me dead than he did when he was alive. Now, that was, the first clue. Marion is putting two and two together, right? She's like, oh. And then his mother's like, well, that's quite macabre. And then he's like, well, how should it be, Mama? I mean, he just snapped on her. And he said, I can't be sad. I can't be too cheerful. I'm looking at the caption right now. He said, I'm sure you don't want to hear that I miss him. And then he started crying. Oh my God, this was such an intense scene. And he said, do you know I sat in the back of his funeral? Like a stranger who walked in to get out of the rain when I should have been right up front with the family. Oh my God, you guys, that was. And then his mother's like, Oscar, what is this all about? Girl, you know what it's about. Oh my God. But his mother's very sophisticated, but she wasn't prepared for this. She wasn't prepared for that at all. And he was like, do you want to know, Mama? Do you want to know? So at that point, that is when cousin Miriam, his cousin, that's when she jumps up and she, puts an end to this interrogation. And then of course, Aunt Ada, who everybody thinks is a tree short of a hammock, she said John Adams rescued him when he hit rock bottom, which is where his mother should have left it. He found him a new client. He invested his own money in Oscar's company. He brought him back to life. And then, of course, that's when, Marion says, if someone done all that for you with no motive. And I think when she said that to his mother, that's when it started to click. Now, will she ever mention it to Oscar? She's like, beyond kindness, and then they died. Wouldn't you be upset? This is what Marion is saying to Aunt Agnes. And Agnes is sitting there. She got very quiet all of a sudden. Instead of this interrogation, she decided to just, shut it down. She's looking and she's not talking. So I'm wondering, amongst the three of the women, who understands and who do not understand? Well, we find out very quickly, Miss Brooke, Marion Brooks, understands everything. And then suddenly, I believe it was, let me see, who said Marion is right? Oh yeah, that was Ada. She said, Marion is right. Oscar is simply mourning the loss of his savior. But it was very strange. It was a very strange scene, especially, this is the Victorian age. And this was just something that people in that circle did not discuss, even with family. She said, he's just mourning his friend as we all would. And that's when the camera kind of goes close in on his mother, and she's kind of like looking down at the floor and figuring some stuff out. Now, what she's figured out, we won't know until we know. And then, of course, Oscar, don't you want to go up to your room? So Miriam did what she could to try to neutralize things. Aunt Ada did what she could to try to neutralize things. Mrs. Bauer will bring you a tray, but just go up to your room. So that's what happened. Let me see. Jessica says Aunt Ada is a lot smarter than they think. Absolutely. Yeah, Aunt Ada, she has a very naive type of personality, but when she knows, she knows. Let me see. Consuelo Vanderbilt married the Duke of Marlborough, Charles Spencer Churchill. Yeah, you know what? You guys. Now, here's another spoiler, but not for this, for the book. I didn't realize that Consuelo Vanderbilt actually, I know at least on one occasion she spent the night at Althorpe, which of course is the Earl Spencer's ancestral home. Of course, Althorpe being where Princess Diana was born, the Althorpe estate. So the Spencers, that side of the Spencer family were very close to the Marlborough, the Duke of Marlborough's family. So, yeah. As a matter of fact, if you want to know what it's like to spend the night with Queen Victoria at Windsor Castle, she actually, this is of course Consuelo Vanderbilt's book, she actually speaks about that in her book. She actually speaks about that. It's a lot of historic figures that she called friends. I don't think she really cared for Queen Victoria, but she had her duty as a wife and as a duchess to be available for it. Okay. How many people we got? Ooh, 36. My goodness. That's okay. I hope this is helpful to someone. Okay, so that was end of scene. Mama is welling up with tears. And the end of that particular scene, all three ladies sat there in silence. They literally sat there in silence. It looks like Miriam is playing solitaire. Mama Van Ryan is reading a book, and I don't know what Ada was doing, but it was like somebody had just threw a grenade into the room. Nobody died. There's a lot of smoke, but it's like they're sitting there with that look on their face like, wow, that was interesting. But they're not even looking at each other. They just are kind of looking into the distance. And I suppose that everybody is trying to, wrap their brains around what just happened, here. Wow. And you know what? I just noticed all three of them took a deep breath at the same time. So, of course, Miriam couldn't leave it like that. So she goes upstairs to visit with Oscar. And, he says, come in. He's got the photo of himself and his lamented lover on the night table. And she tells him, I understand. She said, I'm not an expert, but I believe I understand. and I'm trying to, to understand even better and this and that. And he's like, well, but society. And she's like, well, I don't care about society. I care about you. And that, that was pretty much that, is that she wanted him to know that she supports him, whatever is happening with him, that he has her support. Now, how it's going to work out with Mama, that's going to be interesting to find out. Okay, next scene. Next scene. They are, let me see here. Oh, Andre, the lady's maid, Andre, she has a telegraph from Western Union, and they're trying to figure out who is she in communication with. So they all agree that they're going to keep an eye on her just in case she tries to leave the house. They want to know where she's going. Okay. And then, of course, uh, next scene, you got Mrs. Russell visiting with Mrs. Astor. And, you know, Mrs. Astor says, I cannot do the ball anymore. You should do it. So and so. And then, of course, as Mrs. Russell leaves Mrs. Astor, then Mr. McAllister comes barging into the house. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I just missed that little scene. Thank you for opening up your home. Oh, yeah. Peggy Scott asked Ada if Aunt Agnes will agree to allow them to have their suffrage meeting in their home. And she said, oh, that'd be fine. And they were like, well, what about your sister? What about, Aunt Agnes? And she said, I'm running this household now. I love Ada. She is drunk with authority. She's like, I'm running this household now. I'm paying the bills. Okay. I'm running this household. And I say it's okay. So don't worry about it. And you know what? It was okay. And of course, thank you, Mrs. Forte, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, Miriam and what's her name? Mrs. Scott. What is her first name? I just forgot just that fast. Peggy. Miriam and Peggy, they are talking about men problems. Marion saying she still can't marry Larry Russell. And she was saying that I didn't get a really good chance to talk to Dr. Her boyfriend, Dr. such and such. She didn't really get a good chance. But of course, I don't think she told Miriam anything about having been married before or the baby. At least I don't think so. I can't remember if Miriam knows about that. Okay. And then what do you know? There is Mrs. Russell and Mrs. Astor sitting in her parlor. Once again, she tells her that she cannot do the ball. And I believe Mrs. Russell gets the okay to do it herself. And what do you know? When Mrs. Russell leaves, Mr. McAllister runs up to Bertha's carriage. Bertha did not give him the time of day. She took off in her carriage, and that was that. So Mr. McAllister, he comes bursting into the house to meet with Mrs. Astor. And that's Mrs. Astor in the back wearing the tiara. That's Mrs. Astor. And of course, Mrs. Astor gives him a piece of her mind, and he reminds her that I am society. I'm the one who defined who is in the 400 based on your ballroom, and that I am society, and that you and I go back a long way. You can't reject me like this. And then he said too much. He said, by the way, when I found you, you were just a lonely old woman whose husband enjoyed the company and the pleasure of showgirls. And you were alone and by yourself. Anyway, it was very hurtful. So she rang for her butler. Her butler escorted him out, and they said goodbye to each other, seemingly forever. So that was the end of Lena and Mr. McAllister, Caroline Astor. That was the end of their relationship. Let me see. You guys, I'm looking at the comment section. Please feel free to chime in because I'm giving a play-by-play, but I was hoping for more discussion of these scenes. If you have anything you wanted to share. I mean, the truth is, I am like tickled pink talking about it and going over it again, but I really would like some input from you. I'll wait. I'm looking. I'll wait. Anybody? Any questions? I'll wait.
I would like to marry. It was 27 years later that his wish came true. The eldest, Prince
Of course, in the meantime,
unsparked array of lovely dresses, expensive furs, and dialogue propensity of their love scenes established the arts, inherited from a previous generation. What Lady Mary Wortley Montague has humorously described as the Viceroy and Lady Lansdowne.
Okay, I was actually looking for that part of the book I wanted to share with you. I thought I saved it, and I don't see it.
No less distinguished English footmen have preceded us, and our first outing was a visit to Lady Pageant. Tool must give way to Suppy and gave a party for the village.
Okay, that's hopeless. I'll try to do that later. Teddy Bungle says keep going. Okay. All right, so I'll keep going. All right, so I think I'm good with that. All right, the confrontation with Andre, the lady's maid. The three household staff members assure her that we know that you are the one leaking the information. She, accepts her fate that she's being fired. She offers to pack her bag. They tell her your bags are packed already. Get out as soon as you can. And then next thing you know, Larry Russell is over there trying to see Miss Brooke, Miriam Brooks. Aunt Ada greets him at the door and even gives him or offers him the ring back that he proposed with. And he said, I don't want any of this. I don't want the ring. And I don't want to accept that, we're not getting married. He said, I don't want to accept any of that. He said, I really need to speak to Miriam. So not Agnes, but Ada assured him that she would do her best to get Miss Brooke to speak to him. And so that's where they parted company. And then later on, of course, they did speak. Meanwhile, he went back home to his house. He tells his father, he said, something terrible has happened, that the wedding is off for now, and we're, and his father's like, yeah, well, that Miss Brooks a keep. We need to talk about business. He goes in there and he tells his father that the copper mines are far more lucrative than what you believed. He said, according to the survey, the new survey, his father thought the mines were worthless. He said, according to the survey, there is years of mining of copper ahead of us. In other words, he could leverage that interest in his mine to save Russell's Industries from ruin. And that's exactly what happened. That put them right back on easy street. He was able to negotiate with J.P. Morgan, the richest man in the country. He was able to negotiate with him to purchase the Illinois Central Railroad, which, by the way, is is the real name of the railroad at the time. It was called Illinois Central. And there are certain places around the city where, if you look at the viaducts, the overpass for the trains, you know how they bridge over the street, just in case you're not aware of that term viaduct. You can still see, you know, molded into the cement or the concrete, the cement, it says Illinois Central Railroad. So that was actually a thing at the time. Um, and that's what he was trying to purchase, was Illinois Central. So I think that is a done deal. The um, Russells will own Illinois Central, and that, of course, is thanks to Larry Russell. Let me see. Larry Russell is not in the picture there. Let me find Larry. Just for those who do not know who he is, that is the fair haired boy, Larry Russell. Do you guys know he's from Australia? Yes, he's an Aussie. He's an Aussie. And very funny guy, very funny guy. He's like full of energy and personality. He's the perfect person to play Larry Russell. He is Larry Russell. Although I thought it was hilarious when he said to his father, "What's in it for me?" He's like, "When I'm dead, all of this is yours. That's what's in it for you." Mm. Oh, New City Gardener is here. Thank you so much for being here. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Gilded Age, spoiler alert. Okay, let me continue. So, father and son are talking business. Well, Bertha enters the scene, and oh my God, they were so cold to Bertha. And Bertha's like, I've made things right with Gladys. And of course, you know, George Russell's like, as so you would lead us to believe. And of course, Larry Russell is suspicious that his mother had something to do with Miriam calling off the wedding, which of course she did not. That had nothing to do with her. It was because of him. He was the one that lied. Um, what else? And if it doesn't suit your plan, oh yeah, he told his mother, he said, if it doesn't suit your plan, you seek to destroy it. And I mean, they were so cold to her. They started naming people, all of Gladys's potential suitors that she kind of shot down. They spoke about the way she ruthlessly put Gladys and Hector together. And the thing is, Bertha Russell only wants what's best for the family. She wants her kids to be the embodiment of the upper class. That's all she wants, is that she wants a great future. She wants the Russell name, just like with the real life Mrs. Vanderbilt, Alva Vanderbilt. Alva Vanderbilt put the Vanderbilts in uh, the 400. Before that, the Astors and the Livingstons and all the other ones, they excluded the Vanderbilts. They excluded the oh gosh, who was the other family? The Rockefellers, those kind of people. They weren't interested in those people in their group. Um, but it was Alva who broke down some of those rigid rules and made more people welcomed into high society New York. So she was a visionary. Exactly. He's a chip off the old George Russell. I said Russell. Okay. So Ada and Miriam are having their discussion about Larry right now. and she still doesn't want to have anything to do with Larry. She said, I guess I'll just be a spinster. I'm going to tell you guys, honestly, I never thought Miriam was going to marry anybody. I just cannot picture her being in a loving, nurturing relationship. It does not seem to suit her personality. I kind of pictured her not so much a spinster because that's such an ugly word, but I see her as a very independent woman. And even though she believes in equality for women, it seemed like she and Peggy are not destined to marry. Now, statistically, one of them got to marry. I'm just, you know, Peggy. Not only does Peggy seem as though she's based on Ida B. Wells, she kind of looks like Ida B. Wells. I mean, she really does. I'm going to find the two pictures and put them side by side. Peggy Scott, Ida B. Wells. Okay, let me see if I can find a side by side. Uh oh, I tell you what, I got this. Hold on, you guys. I will get this. You'll see what I mean in just a second. Okay. Okay, you see what I mean? Now, of course, the black and white images, that is Ida B. Wells, and of course, Peggy Scott. Now, one of those articles, let me see here, it even says the real life woman, let me see, the real black woman who inspired this character in HBO's Gilded Age. Ida B. Wells was very well educated. When she was, when her family was in the South, there was an outbreak of yellow fever, and she was away visiting an aunt. And she actually risked her life as a teenager. She risked her life to go back down south to save her siblings. Her mother and her father died, but her I think all of the siblings lived. So anyway, she became the custodian of her siblings. And people warned her, do not go because yellow fever and you might die and all that kind of stuff. But she wouldn't hear of it. It was not about self-preservation for her. It was about saving her family. And so she went. Very courageous young lady. So when you have time, please look up her bio because she is a really interesting person. One of the things that she pushed for in her lifetime was a law against lynching. That was like her life's work was, among other things, was to create a law against lynching. But yeah, so that's the real life Ida B. Wells, or should I say the real life Peggy Scott? Probably. So, sad, sad scene. Mrs. Russell is in her boudoir. The maid, the housekeeper rather, she comes up there to Mrs. Russell and she's like, um, they said that you weren't coming down to the dining room. She says, no, I'm not very hungry. Well, she brings a tray up to Mrs. Russell and she says, I'll just leave this tray. Mrs. Russell is in the bed and she's on the verge of tears. And, she confides in the housekeeper that nowadays, there's not going to be anyone here for dinner. So, because she's like, do we have to prepare dinner for anyone? And she says, nope. because both her son and her husband are both at the club. They are staying at their club, which is what men used to do when they didn't want to go home. They would stay at the club. And I was heartbroken for Bertha, because Bertha, it really just wants her family to be excellent in the eyes of everyone. She wants them to see in her family what she sees in them, like they are just the best and the brightest and the greatest. So George Russell is at the club. His son Larry is at the same club. That's the guy who played JP Morgan. Oh, by the way, you guys, I talked about this last week. The lady there in the background, that is the housekeeper for the Scott family. She, in real life, has transitioned from male to female. Extraordinary. Not a big deal, of course, but it's just extraordinary. The cast, it is a multicultural cast, and even having a character like Oscar in the ensemble, and then in real life you have someone who has transitioned. I think it's just amazing. So um yeah, the casting is excellent in more than one way, of course. But yeah, I'm amazed by that, but and glad for it, because God bless her that she can find work as an actress who at one time would hide the fact that she had transitioned. She was always worried that the shoe would drop and that people would find out, and now she can live her life quite openly and freely and still find work and doing what she loves. And I mean, what's more amazing than that? So okay. Let me see. I think we're done with um oh yeah. Where are we at here? Okay, Miriam and Larry. Larry goes to her school because Miriam will not see him at the house. And so he goes to the school and he tells her, he said, listen, I didn't go to Demonico's. I went to, she said, yes, I know. You went to a place of irreproof. And he told her, he said, I was just there for a drink. It was no big deal. It was just a drink. I should have told you, but I was afraid that you would look at me the way you're looking at me now, and that's why I didn't tell you. I don't have a lot of pictures, do I? No, I do not. But so that's why he didn't tell her. Do I even have a picture of Miriam? Well, Miriam Brooks is on the left side. In real life, she is the daughter of, wait for it, Meryl Streep. That is Meryl Streep's real life daughter. Okay. And Carrie Coons, who plays uh, Bertha Russell, I don't think I've ever seen her before. I don't remember her from anything, but I do love her. I think she is fantastic. Okay. So, anyway, Larry has planted the seed. I'm not the bad guy you think I am. Um, I didn't tell you the truth because I didn't want you to look at me the way you're looking at me now. And then, of course, she said that if you did not trust me, then how do I know you can trust me in the future to tell me what you think I should and should not know? Very valid argument. Very valid. Okay. So to continue, and by the way, if you are not a regular to this channel, we are discussing the Gilded Age. No Harry and Meghan right now, but please chime in if you have anything to say. If you want to ask me about any of the characters or whatever. Otherwise, I'm just, putting out these spoilers and enjoying it. By the way, this is like Gilded Age is the best thing that has happened to me since Emily in Paris. Seriously, I love Emily in Paris. Bridgerton, I dropped off of Bridgerton, I think, after the second season. I really do need to catch up. I really do, because I love the series. I thought it was excellent. And I'm going to go back and I just need to catch up. Oh my God, is that the sun coming up? Why is there so much light outside my window? Duh, it is 5:30 a.m. Well, let me continue. Um, so where are we at now? Um, Mr. Russell, George Russell, is speaking to Clay, who probably arranged the end of this episode, if you know what I mean. Clay is such a sinister character. Clay used to be his top lieutenant in the company, and George Russell fired him. And then, of course, Clay tried to get back at him by, you know, telling all the secrets about his company. That didn't work. Convorting or conspiring with the enemy. That didn't work, because now they have the copper mines. So, well, I think we all kind of know what happened next, right? Yeah, that's George Russell right there. He doesn't seem old enough to be Larry's father, but uh, I think if Larry had a beard, they'd almost look the same age. But I just think that the actor that plays Larry has a very boyish like personality, and and the Morgan Spector, that is the name of this actor. He's such a real man with the beard and everything that, I mean, he can pull it off. He can pull it off. So anyway, Clay, who I don't have a picture of Clay. Actually, I do, but not as the character, as the real life Clay. Let me see if I can find him. That is Clay. See all the way on the left side? Do you see the Tom Jones look-alike? There's the guy on the very end, and then the guy in the brown jacket walking with a cane, looking like a Tom Jones look-alike. That is Clay. Clay was George Russell's chief lieutenant in the company. And of course, when he failed to secure the railroad, the Illinois Central, George fired him, said he was weak, and fired him. So anyway, I think Clay got even. Okay, so they had that exchange. George told Clay off, and Clay left vowing. He said, "You can't destroy me. I'm like a cockroach." All right, now Bertha and Mr. McAllister are in her drawing room, and Mr. McAllister is trying to convince Bertha to help him back into society. And Bertha's like, "You know what? I don't have the power to do that." She said, "You made your choices. I do not have the power to bring you back to society." And so, can you believe that that is Bertha, the lady there? That is Bertha. I promise you, she looks so different from Bertha Russell. Bertha Russell is, they just look very different. That's all. They look very different. And oh, by the way, the lady with the dark hair, that is Miriam Brooks. Look at how different she looks when she doesn't have that blonde hair, when she's not covered with that blonde wig that they put her in. God, she looks different. And look at how jazzy Aunt Ada is over there on the left. Look at how jazzy she is. Huh. Come on, Aunt Ada. Come on now. You causing it. Oh man. And that's the doctor right there with those horrible braids. Why is that man walking around with his hair braided like that? Will somebody please talk to him? And that's Bannister, the old man there. That's Bannister. Okay. I don't know where Nathan Lane is, but whatever. Anyway, and there's the doctor right there. And look, there's Marion Brooks without that dark hair. Okay, so anyway, Bertha tells him there's nothing she can do. You're out of society, and that's too bad. He convinced her that she should become society, that she should flex and show her power and take over, for Mrs. Astor, which is something she's glad to do. And then, of course, cut back to England. There's Hector and Gladys. They're sitting there holding hands with each other. This is when Hector tells his sister, I think you'll be more comfortable with a house of your own. You need to go on with your life. Now, of course, his sister, I'm pretty sure she is past childbearing age. So whether she would ever get married, whether she has ever been married, I don't know. But as far as I know, she does not have a family of her own. Her life was the estate. Her life was pretty much um, running the house while her brother ran the estate. Is Felicia Rashad playing a character in this series? Yes, she is. Felicia Rashad plays Dr. What is his name? Dr. Fortune? Is it? No, Fortune was the guy with the newspaper. The doctor right there, I forgot who he was. What is his name? Dr. Kirkland, right? Dr. Kirkland. That was his name, Dr. Kirkland. Okay, let me find a picture. Felicia Rashad, Gilded Age. Okay, there she is. For reference, you guys, I will put up a picture of her. Give me just a second. Okay, there we go. So there she is, Mrs. Kirkland. Dr. Kirkland is her son, and she's Mrs. Kirkland. And she has a scene with the legendary Leslie Uggams, which some of you older folks might remember her from Roots. She played Kizzy, right? In Roots. She played Kizzy. Anyway, you may remember her from Roots. Sometimes a daughter was kept home to be company for the mother. When the mother died, the daughter would be stuck. Oh, okay. Okay. So that's why she's there. But I'm trying to think, was Hector's mother still alive or not? No, I think not, right? Yeah, because I remember he said it was just the two of us. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that he said that was just the two of us. And in the book, in Consuelo's book, she did make reference to um, Queen Victoria's daughter, the one that never married, about the fact that she was stuck there with her mother. She did make reference to that. Oh, Queen Alexandra did that to her middle daughter, Victoria. Oh, I did not know that. That is a shame. That is a real shame. I mean, they have the ability to hire anybody they want, and they keep a child stuck tethered to the household. That's a real shame. Anyway, Felicia Rashad was excellent, is excellent in her role, and by the end, she goes and tells you know Dr. Kirkland everything she knows, and gosh, was that a disaster! By the way, you guys, the footman John, he and Miriam went to go look at a house because of his newfound fortune of $300,000. They went to go and look at a house, and he's going to take it. He also had a chance to tell Miss Brooks that nothing happened the night that we went out. I don't know why he didn't tell you, but nothing happened. We had a drink, then we left together, and you know, hopefully she'll talk to Larry again. I don't know, but for now, things are still off. And then there was a little picnic in the park with Peggy Scott and Dr. Kirkland. Yeah, they had a little picnic in the park, which was lovely. And he invited her. Did he invite her or did she invite him? Anyway, they're supposed to go someplace together. I think they're going to a ball. Yeah, they're going to a ball. And then at this point, that is when his mother speaks to the nosy woman about Peggy Scott's history in Philadelphia, about her having a child that was adopted, the child died. Um, and then cut to where are we at now? Oh, yes, she went to his office to tell him all the dirt, and then, of course, he says, "I have to go and talk to Peggy." And then the very last scene of the episode, I even hate to even think about it, but, oh, George Russell and his new lieutenant are at the club, are they? I think they're at the club, and someone says there's a taxi outside, right? Or livery, a taxi or whatever. And so some man comes and says to Mr. Russell, there's a taxi outside. And then the guy comes in and says, George Russell, he said, I have something for you. And his lieutenant said, I'll take it, only for him to produce a weapon. And he shot him clean through. Um, and the preview for next week, let me go over this preview. The preview for next week is they rush Mr. Russell home to his house. Okay. They have the ball. Let me see. Oh, let me see. Let me see. Let me see. You know, these go by so fast you can hardly see anything. Okay. Bertha comes charging down the steps. Her maid is right behind her. The footmen, they're laying the wounded George Russell on the carpet. Oh my God, this was too intense. George Russell shot. And then, of course, Felicia Rashad, they're at the ball that they were invited to. Wait a minute, is it white people at that ball? No, I guess not. But you know, they have to be of a very fair complexion, otherwise they wouldn't be welcome. Ooh, and it looks like Peggy Scott's mother is telling off um Mrs. Kirkland. She said you could see everyone's flaws but your own. Uh-oh. Ooh, that's gonna be good. I cannot wait. And of course, uh, Dr. Kirkland and Peggy Scott, they're going to have a conversation. I see them sitting on the settee. They're going to have a conversation about this baby thing. She said, I was going to tell you. Oh my God, Larry Russell is looking. You can see that not only is he pained about his relationship, but he's devastated about his father. Well, the ball still takes place. I'm assuming that means that George Russell survives. I'm assuming that he survives, but he's hurt really bad. So anyway, you guys, that's it. I I feel kind of bad that nobody wanted to or could or whatever share anything, but I was hoping that we would have like this big exchange about the episode, but I guess most of you all haven't seen it. You're just here to keep me company, and I do appreciate that. Um, but yeah, so there you have it. And I'm looking forward to next week. I'm going to have to watch this episode again because, I'm going to wonder, did I miss anything? Gosh, I've been talking for like 4 hours, 2 hours this time, or is it longer than that? And then I was on earlier. Please don't forget to hit the like button. And if you don't already have a membership to Royal Sussex, remember memberships start at only $4.99, which is about the price of a cup of coffee. And don't forget, we have PayPal, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee if you would like to support this channel any other way. But your likes and subscribes are also very important. Thank you, Connie Bomber. Thank you for always believing in me. Thank you, Teddy Bungo. Compton Cali girl, thank you. Yes, a very handsome couple. Very much so. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry. Um, to be honest with you, I should not have HBO. I never watch it, and I save it because I'm thinking other people in the family are going to watch it, and you know, I don't think anybody else is watching it except for me. So I'm hoping that come tax time, I will be able to write this off as supporting the arts. This is my donation for the arts. I'm supporting the arts. I'm supporting the arts with HBO, with Netflix, um, Disney Plus. I am supporting the arts. I am listening while getting Action Jackson ready for program. You are doing a great job, man. Oh, thank you, Jessica Foreman. Really do appreciate that. You guys are so supportive. I cannot tell you how much this community, how much this channel, how much all of this means to me at this point in my life. I um, I was not expecting this, but I have really, really enjoyed Royal Sussex. And as you know, I have been very supportive of others who have aspirations to create their own platforms. Um, it's a very liberating thing, I must say. Yeah, I mean, I can only try, right? Thank you, Hazel Jones. And Hazel Jones, thank you for being a wealth of information. I'm always looking to you and others to help put things right. Because it's like, I have like a general idea of some things, but most of the stuff I'm just like, always in need of a second opinion or, just to iron some things out. Hmm. Okay, well, I think we're done then. Of course, one of the common complaints with everyone is those corsets. Even though this is 2025, there's no getting around the use of a corset. The corsets, the clothes, they really do help people get into character. Part of the character is the clothing. Mm, Let me see. Maybe if you say it's for content creation. Yeah, okay. Content creation. I'll try that with the IRS. I think they'll understand or not. What a swine. You guys know that he died practically penniless. His book, in real life, his book did not sell much. Yeah, I think in all, he probably earned about $2,000, not quite the fortune of most of those families. And anyway, his book, the society cut him off, and he died a pathetic man. Um, I don't know why he did that. I think Truman Capote did the same thing, right? Didn't Truman Capote turn on the high society? Truman Capote was welcome in so many salons around the country. Um, he was invited to every party. He did television interviews and all that. But after he wrote about his friends, they turned on him. Oh, isn't that something? We were both thinking the same thing, right? Oh man, that is so funny. See how we have this connection, Hazel Jones? We were both thinking the same thing. Yeah, they were welcome to all of these huge events, places where, I mean, let's face it, they were like odd people in those circles, because for as much as McAllister put on airs and graces, he was not in that, you know, he was not part of it. He was kind of like on the outside looking in. Then they let him in so that he can look out and tell other people about it. But the bad thing was that he wrote a book about it. He was never one of them, but they let him in just enough. The real life Mr. McAllister, when he was in Europe, they say that he somehow conned a friend of his to smuggle him into, I believe it was Windsor Castle, to smuggle him inside of Windsor Castle so that he might witness a dinner with Queen Victoria. And so there he stayed in the silence, in the shadows, observing this spectacle that most people would never see in life unless they were serving the royal family, or in all likelihood they would have to be in the aristocracy. Otherwise it just would not have happened. And so he was so drawn to wealthy people that he, you know, And look at Evelyn Waugh. Now, Evelyn Waugh, I don't think he ever wrote about the families directly. He took a lot of inspiration from the families, as Julian Fellows has also taken a great deal of inspiration from the aristocratic families. But Truman Capote and McAllister, they they went too far. They were too obvious, right? It was like Icarus and Dadius. Um, if they didn't learn anything else, they should have learned from Icarus and Dadius what it means to fly too close to the sun, especially when your wings are made of wax. So, Truman Capote. Oh, he wrote. Oh, he wrote for Vanity Fair. Did he? I didn't realize that. I knew he was an author, but I didn't know that he had like a column. You know, I could not take Truman Capote's voice. Oh my God, I could not take his voice. The only thing worse than his voice was his face. I could not take his voice. I kept seeing previews of Gilded Age, and I was on the wall watching. But you encouraged me. Oh, you were on. Okay, I get it. I may take a peek at it. Thank you. I love watching your podcast. You're so informative and entertaining. Thank you so much for that. Wait, you get a bell for that. Thank you very much. Isn't that something to turn on people like that? The other thing I learned about McAllister is that the Commodore Vanderbilt, he really took a liking to Ward McAllister. And he kept trying to set him up in business. He kept trying to set him up in business. And Ward McAllister was not interested in business. The upper class, that was his business. Society was his business. And he did not care to do the work it would take to be successful, and which is so strange because he had a wife, he had children. How could you not want to cultivate some type of business that you can pass on to your family? Well, let me tell you how he died. Ward McAllister died while dining alone in a social disgrace for his writing at New York's Union Club in January 1895. His funeral, held on February 5th, 1895, was well attended by many society figures of the day, including Chauncey Depew and Cornelius Vanderbilt II. McAllister is interred at Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn, New York. In 1907, Sarah was described as having been an invalid for 25 years. Wow. Who was Sarah? Was that his wife? Yes, Sarah Taintor Gibbons. Oh, his father was a judge. His father was a judge for the Circuit Court of California, in California. Julia Ward Howe, an American author and poet known for writing the Battle Hymn of the Republic, Oh my God, that was his cousin. And Samuel Cutler Ward was an American poet, politician, and author, and a gourmet. And in the years after the Civil War, he was widely known as the king of the lobby. He combined delicious foods, fine wines, and good conversation to create a new type of lobbying in Washington, D.C. Oh, he was a lobbyist. Okay. And he has another famous relative, ancestor, Benjamin Clark Cutler, was a Boston merchant who also served as sheriff of Norfolk County, Massachusetts from 1798 to 1810. So Ward McAllister, he had quite a few interesting people in the family. Huh. Well, you know what, guys, he may not have had a lot of money, but he certainly had some connections. Huh, very interesting. And he married an heiress. I mean, he lived off his wife's money. No wonder. McAllister married a Georgia born heiress who was then living in Madison, New Jersey, Sarah Tainter Gibbons, daughter of William Gibbons and Abigail Louisa Tainter Gibbons. Her grandfather was a politician, lawyer, steamboat owner, Thomas Gibbons. Her father also built Gibbons Mansion in Madison, New Jersey, which her brother sold to Daniel Drew after their father's death, and which Drew donated to found the Drew Theological Seminary, now known as Drew University. My goodness. Well, this guy had a lot of connections. Huh. Well, you see there? Had a lot of connections. But he should not have wrote that book. That book was his ruin. Huh. Okay. The 400. Hello. If you just joined us, do hit that like button. Well, I must admit, Ward McAllister is a very interesting person. Let me see. Ward McAllister Jr. was an American judge. His son, an American lawyer and judge. Wow. You know, I'm really nosy. I want to see where he's buried. I do want to see where he's buried. Ward McAllister grave. Ah, well, he's got a little mausoleum, you guys. Died in New York, January 31st, 1895. Well, you know what? I would say that he definitely had some really great connections. He did. He had some really good connections, but uh 67 years old when he died. All right. Okay, you guys, I think we're good, right? If you have any last comments, go ahead and put them up there. Otherwise, I will see you guys much later. The well known leader of society in New York passed away. New York, January 31st. Ward McAllister, well known society leader, died in this city tonight at 9:30. McAllister was born in Savannah, Georgia, 60 years ago. His father was a lawyer and served several terms as mayor of Savannah. His grandfather was a prominent businessman in Savannah. The dead man came to, God, that's awful. The dead man came to this city when he was 20 years of age and remained here until the death of a maid aunt who left him some money, a maiden aunt who left him some money. He then returned to Savannah, where he was admitted to the bar. Sketch of his life. Warden McAllister was a native of Savannah, Georgia, where he was born about 60 years ago. His grandfather, oh, that is the same thing, isn't it? Well, a little different. His grandfather, Matthew McAllister, was Chief Justice of the state. His father, Matthew Hall McAllister, was a Justice of the Circuit Court of the United States in California. The family was distinguished for its legal ability. A brother of Ward McAllister stood at the head of the San Francisco bar for many years. On his mother's side, Ward McAllister was connected with some of the most distinguished families of the East. His maternal grandmother, Mrs. B. O. Cutler, was the daughter of Hester Marion, a sister of Francis Marion, the swamp fox of the Revolution. Oh, so that is his. That is the notice that they put in the newspaper back in 1895. Thank you, Teddy Bungo. Thank you, Cookies and Cream. All right. Well, you guys, we may have been few in number for this episode of Royal Sussex, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you guys for giving me a chance to talk about all this. I um I rather enjoyed myself. Good Lord, it is Monday. Ward McAllister, scoundrel. What an awful person. Okay, cheers. Oh, let me I'll put that up there. I'm not going to play any outro music, or should I? Yes, I will. What am I going to do? Let me see. What is appropriate for this hour? The outro. Okay, I'll do this one. Okay, this is it. Okay, see ya.